Cheers.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
How's everything with the hotel?
Better and better. Little bit better.
Yeah.
We,
Slowly.
Yes, we believe we passed the bottom.
I hope so.
Yes. So we come today.
So I look at the camera or at you? Or both? Okay. Okay.
Okay, so last time we visit you, and we want a book from you.
Yes.
Okay, and then you said no, you are lazy to write. But then I said, okay, you already wrote the gloom doom
Boom.
and then we set up enjoying meeting, talking, conversation about a bike and why you live,
Yes.
you choose to live in Chiang Mai, something like that.
Yeah, sure.
So today is quite relaxed.
Okay.
Yes, but if you want to want to talk other than motorcycle and Chiang Mai, then feel free.
Yes,
Let's see where the balls roll.
Anyway, how long do you want to do the video for?
We don't have anything in mind. So let's say that if we feel like to stop, then we stop.
So it's half an hour or an hour? What is the best for you?
I think between half an hour to 1 hour, something.
Yeah,
like
okay. Say 45 minutes.
that. Yes.
And the audience, the people that go on the video, where will you show it to?
I plan to show it to the YouTube and the Facebook of our Red Motorcycle Publishing House. Yes.
And the audience are young people or old people or everybody?
Yes, people have young and old, but mostly we have two groups. One is interesting in motorcycle,
Yes.
and one is interesting in investment. Yes, I don't know how that evolved to, but it's come this way.
Okay.
Okay.
So anytime you want to start, you start.
Okay. เริ่มแล้วนะ Okay. I'm also new too. So today we have a great opportunity to meet with Mr. Mark Faber, who is editor and a writer in website Gloom Doom Boom. Yes?
Correct.
Correct, yes. And a lot of video is talking already about investing. So today you can see that there is no talking about motorcycle.
Yes.
But as we see, you have a 3 bike, so you might be bike enthusiastic. Yes. That must be the other side of you. So how is the motorcycle virus affect you? When did it happen?
Well, when I was young, my father was an orthopedic surgeon, so he saw a lot of accidents, and he didn't want to buy me a bicycle. So I went as a runner for a pharmacy, and for very little money. And after a year, I could buy a bicycle. And I have been skiing, snow skiing, alpine, since I have had the age of 5 years. Because my grandparents, they had a large hotel in the mountains, including a lot of wealthy people from India at the time. The hotel was finished 1910. So in the 20s, we already had a lot of Indian customers. And then I spent a lot of holidays in the hotel of my grandparents. And so I was alpine skiing. And with 18, that's the age at which you can start riding a motorcycle in Switzerland. I bought a motorcycle from a friend of mine because I had a little bit the feel for speed. I enjoy speed. So I had this motorcycle, and then I went with my motorcycle from Switzerland to Spain and to southern France and traveled a lot. And so from then on, when I moved to Hong Kong in 1973, that was almost 50 years ago.
Yes.
I right away bought a motorcycle because in Hong Kong one of the problems is the parking of vehicles. But with a motorcycle, you just at the time you could just park it anywhere. So then I had this motorcycle. It was I think Suzuki 400cc, and then the BMW agent called me up and said they had some motorcycles in Hong Kong which they had brought in for the police, whether I wanted one. So I said, okay, I buy one. Because it was much cheaper, because they had brought them in especially for the police as a demonstration. And then a Chinese friend of mine, he bought another BMW in England, but he then found out in Hong Kong that his legs were too short to come to the ground. So he could drive it, but once he stopped, he fell over. So he gave it to me.
Just gave it to you?
Yes. I mean, he was very well to do, but he was also a very good friend of mine. He was then later on my best man, and I was the best man at his wedding. So anyway, that's how I essentially drove motorcycles all the time. And when I came to Chiang Mai 20 years ago, actually more than 20 years, 22 years ago, I brought my BMWs here. Two. But in Thailand, if you bring in a second-hand motorcycle, it's practically impossible to get a license plate.
Yes.
Very difficult.
Yes.
I mean, maybe somewhere you can pay and so forth, but eventually after like maybe 5 years ago, I gave away my BMWs. By then I bought already a Suzuki 1000, and then I bought this Suzuki 1000, and then about 4 years ago I bought the Ducati, because it was at the reduced price.
Okay.
And then 2 years ago I bought the Kawasaki.
Ninja.
Yes, it's a Ninja 1000cc. So now the problem is not the motorcycle. The problem is my body. You know, at my age, you don't drive as fast as when you're 18. When I was 18, and especially after I had started to do ski racing, because I was in the Swiss ski team, speed is a very powerful element in your life. You know, to go to the limits of your abilities. And then those years, I drove the motorcycles like crazy. Now, it's not a question to go into a bar as fast as possible. The question is to get there, especially after drinking, to get back home.
I see. I can understand that. Yes.
So the strategy has changed from being aggressive to being more conservative.
But your bike is doesn't look conservative. This one mine is conservative.
Yes.
You ride in a straight back?
Yes, your bike is a touring bike, which is very comfortable to go for long expeditions. But I don't enjoy very much going on a bike, you know, through the mountains and so forth, and I want to tell you why. On a motorcycle, anywhere in the world, you have to watch the ground all the time, the road.
That's true.
Because if you hit a pothole, say a hole, or if in a curve someone has spilled water,
True.
you can slide.
Yes.
So if you want to look at the landscape, the best is to take a train.
Okay.
Or you take a driver and he drives and you sit in the back, and then you can drink a beer or a whiskey or whatnot. But as you know, on a motorcycle, you're basically like this, and these are not bikes for touring. These are racing bikes.
Yes.
So you can ride your bike for 3 hours and not have any back pain. I ride my motorcycle half an hour, I have back pains.
But you don't have in mind that you change your style.
No.
It's only sports bike that you like to ride.
Yes.
Only.
When I change my style, I go to another world. And that I don't think I can take my motorcycles wherever I go.
Okay. And
no, but saying about, now I can physically, I'm still reasonably strong, but maybe in 5 years, I'm not strong enough to ride these bikes because these are heavy bikes. And in the city traffic, they are difficult to ride. This is not for the city, the Ducati.
Sorry.
The Kawasaki is the best for the city.
Oh, really?
You can stay in first gear. You can go from low speed to high speed. It's very comfortable.
But not this one.
This one is a nightmare.
Nightmare. Okay.
But it makes a nice noise.
Yes, it's a dry clutch, correct?
Dry clutch.
Yes.
I never heard in my life before about dry clutch until I bought this bike.
I see. And what is your first bike?
The first bike, like in the car industry. In 1910, there were 250 different car manufacturers in America. Now, as you know, there are only 2 left, Ford, General Motors, and the new one, Tesla. And then Chrysler was taken over by the Italian company, Stellantis is called now. It was Fiat before. They had one very successful vehicle, that's the Jeep. Same in motorcycles. When I was young, there were lots of brands that no longer exist.
Ah, I see.
Some have come back, like Triumph went bankrupt, but now they have again. And they were in Italy. There were, companies like Ducati and Aprilia and Motobi. Motobi was quite a famous brand, also Agostina. And I had the Motobi.
Ah, okay.
It was a racing bike also, but not very powerful.
It's Italian bike.
Yeah, no more, it doesn't exist anymore.
I see.
And it was always in the repair shop. Always some problems.
Always some problem, yes. Yes, some bike is like that. Some bike doesn't reliable.
Yes, when you buy a bike, I think it depends. Some people, they like to work on the motorcycles. They like to do the mechanics. They know they can take a motorcycle apart and reassemble it and so forth.
Yes.
But I'm working, I still have a lot to do, so I don't have the time to do these things. And I'm not a trained mechanic. So for me, the most important is you can go out, take the key out of your car, motorcycle, and then come back 2-3 hours later, start it again, and it runs. Because the new bikes you cannot push on. It's impossible. They don't work. Formerly, when I started to ride motorcycles, also the BMWs, the first one I had, if it didn't start, you could push it.
Okay.
But you have to be strong.
Yes.
But you can push it on. These bikes you cannot.
You cannot, yes, that's true. And the old bike also
maybe
have
yours you can push on, maybe, but I don't know.
No, this one is also heavy,
Yeah.
200 something kilo. Yes. But in the old day they also have...
Well, never mind, you have a wife, you can have your wife push you.
Yes. That's also possible.
Oh, your children.
But you also have wife. Can you? Can
My
you,
wife doesn't push me. Push my bike.
I think rather fix the bike than fix the relationship.
Yes. Better fix the bike than the wife.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So today, you how often you ride your bike?
Yeah, until recently every day,
Oh,
but not for a very long time. I just went to the bars where I go to, and then back to my house at night.
okay.
And then nowadays, as you know, we had the lockdown because of this pandemic, which was created by the US, I think. But anyway, during that time, I didn't go out a lot. And now I go out less. I go out maybe twice, 3 times a week.
Oh, okay. And which one?
Because I also have a lot to write at the moment.
Okay. And which one you prefer? You use more?
Oh, this one is nice to ride if you have enough space and if you can drive fast. You know, like 80 miles an hour is perfect. The Kawasaki is the most comfortable to ride in the city. It's heavy, but it's fast, and the gears are easy. You can go in the first gear from very low gear, smooth driving to 70 kilometers is still smooth. This one at low speed, say under 30 kilometers, is not smooth.
Ah,
Like a tractor.
okay. So that means in the city you use Kawasaki more often?
Yes, mostly.
Yes. Okay, and this is maybe a weird question, a little bit weird, but why is in the East, except Japan, there is no great motorcycle? Even especially if we see Soviet have first ดาวเทียมว่าอะไรนะ satellite. Soviet have a first satellite, first go to space, but there is no good bike from Soviet. The good bike is start in Europe and then go to US, and then when Japan is doing the bike, then Japan is win.
Yes, but if you look at the Asian car industry, the quality cars come essentially from Japan and now increasingly from Korea. But the car market is much larger than the motorcycle market. You know, in many countries, like in Hong Kong, not many people drive a motorcycle because the traffic, you really have to get used to it.
Okay.
And in Thailand, lots of people drive small motorcycles because they are the workers or lower income families, and the people that earn more, they want or have to show off that they have a car. You know, and socially, if you're a Thai, if you drive your children to school on a motorcycle, it's a totally different class than the women who drive their children to school in a car.
I can understand.
So
that.
the motorcycle is not so much a high-class vehicle,
I see.
except among some very well-to-do people. There's here one of the prince. He lives here in Merim, up the mountain, and he is a founder of the BMW club in Thailand. He went actually with his friend, I think in the 80s, he told me, from Chiang Mai to Lhasa in Tibet.
Ah,
This is a huge trip.
I see.
But he's a prince, so everywhere he was well received, even in China. But this is the exception. These are well-to-do Thai families They belong to the Harley Club or, or the Hells Angels or whatnot. And then you have the others, wealthy guys, they have touring bikes like BMWs or Goldwing clubs and so forth. So the Japanese make the motorcycles. There is in India Enfield.
Yes, Royal Enfield.
This was a quality bike and now they're coming up again. But of course, all the bikes that are manufactured in the world are not the quality of BMW, German bikes, and not the quality and reliability of Japanese bikes. You buy a Honda here, everywhere there's a Honda garage.
Yes, that's true.
You buy a Suzuki, everywhere there's a Suzuki, and so forth. So the distribution and the repair facilities are important. So if you ask me, Mike, you have to go on a motorcycle from here to Europe, what bike would you choose? I would choose a Japanese bike.
Yes.
Because, maybe BMW has in India one representative. But Japanese bikes are relatively standardized.
Yes, every corner of the street.
Yes, and the lamps on the wheels and so forth, they all come from the same companies.
I see. And if you can choose only one side, European, Japanese, which one you choose?
Well, I have different bikes, as you can see, and before I had BMWs. I think first of all, the BMW, I think quality-wise is the best bike. But in Thailand, it is expensive to service a BMW. It's much cheaper to service a Japanese bike.
I can understand that.
Yeah, it's very expensive because they have to have a mechanic from Germany and so forth. And I like bikes with not too much electronics.
Okay.
It's like with cars. The moment you have electronics, something breaks down, there's no way you can fix it.
Yes, there's nothing to do.
Yes. When I was young, the car breaks down, you kick it, and then it runs again.
Yes.
You can fix it.
Yes, and does you fix your relationship with the kick?
Yes.
Let me think. I'm new to this too.
No, but I think in Thailand, Chiang Mai, I have two friends, they came recently. They don't know each other. One used to work at the United Nations, quite a senior position in Geneva and New York. And one, his great-grandfather was Prime Minister of England. They don't know each other, but both of them, one lives now here. He said, I've been to 80 different countries.
Okay.
I think Chiang Mai is the nicest city I've been to.
Oh, really?
Yes. And my friend, his name is Robert Lloyd George. He's British, very intelligent, very successful in business. He said, I just love Chiang Mai. It's so relaxing and nice, and the people are friendly and so forth. So this is also a lot of motorcycle drivers, they come here, also bicycle drivers. They come here, they rent a motorcycle and they go to the mountains for 2 weeks.
Yes.
I have a friend right now, he's here. He came from Hua Hin. He bought a motorcycle there. Then he came here, then he went to Payao to have it fixed because there's a very good mechanic in Payao. And then he went to the mountains and is coming back in a few days.
I see. But you don't like to ride in a mountain?
Not with these bikes.
Yes, I can understand that.
I prefer to go and have a driver, like my wife or so.
Okay, before we enter to the Chiang Mai, maybe the last question.
Yes.
Is the bike, is riding a bike help you become a better investor? Is you get a better return if you're a biker?